with financial reporting. They're going to explore the challenges the finance team experience to produce their financial reports for the CFO, for the senior management team, and the business as a whole. Let me just explain to you the speakers today. So today's speakers will be myself. I'm Alfonso Colonino, working for CXO-Cockpit. I'm a regional director responsible for customers and new business across the UK, Ireland and the Nordics, and I will be hosting the session today. I'd like to also introduce you to Niklas Listermark, who is the financial controller at the group level at DeLaval, and he's going to be talking to me in a short while. So today's agenda, there's going to be, today's session is going to take around about 30 minutes. I'm going to set the scene today just by providing a short overview of the typical financial reporting challenges faced by most organizations. I'm then going to be conducting a live interview style question and answer session with DeLaval, specifically with Niklas, and he's hopefully going to explain how they've added significant value to their financial reporting process. We've reserved a slot at the end of the webinar to get your questions answered. So if you have any questions now or during the actual webinar itself, please go ahead and write them into the chat box that's provided on your screen, and we'll do our best to answer those at the end of this webcast. Monitoring these questions will be CXO-Cockpit's marketing manager, Thomas van Hellemond, who you heard his voice a little bit earlier on. He'll come back in and join us at the end of the webinar to help review those questions, and we'll put those forward to Niklas if we have a little bit of time. So first of all, let's have a look at some typical reporting challenges faced by organizations from a generic perspective. Typically, organizations have invested significantly in their IT systems, general ledger systems, ERP systems, planning, budgeting, forecasting systems, etc., where they store a lot of that data that they wish to do financial reporting from. The tragedy, however, is that most of these IT systems do not provide adequate functionality to create financial reporting for the business. And generally, finance is left to extract data from these IT systems, often into Excel, in order to complete their financial reporting process. We hear this scenario far too often. Firstly, the data is extracted into the world of Excel from multiple source systems, including EPM systems. Secondly, the reporting pack is created generally very manually. The results of it are never completely in sync with executives' exacting reporting requirements. This means that adjustments need to be made to those Excel extracts to produce the desired reports. To explain the numbers, the narrative or commentary is collected usually by further processes, which could be by email or by a Word document or another PowerPoint presentation sent around the business. Someone therefore has the task of pulling together all of this information in order to stitch it together to produce the reporting pack. Generally, we then see it's distributed generally by email, which so easily could go to the wrong person within the company or even outside of the company accidentally. Finally, when management actually receive any reporting packs, they tend to be very static in nature. They can't drill into any numbers. if they have any further questions that are not answered by the original narrative or commentary that's been collected, they have to then go back to the authors to ask them a further question. This is a very manual process. It's very time consuming and it's very erroneous and can cause multiple problems for organizations. Also, the time it takes to go through this process, we tend to see elongated. If you're doing month-end reporting, but it's taken you a further 15 or 20 days in the month to have reporting packs completed, then you're essentially making a decision on information that's maybe a month and a half old. It's not a great way of managing the performance of a business. I'm fairly confident that for you who are listening to the webcast, these descriptions will resonate to some extent. Is this process really helping management to make better decisions to manage the financial performance of their business? There's got to be a better way of streamlining the financial reporting process. So let's now move to listen to how DeLaval has managed to address these challenges. So the challenges highlighted here lead me nicely into our expert masterclass interview with Niklas Listermark from DeLaval. So to begin with, let me hand over to Niklas to provide you with an introduction to DeLaval and to share with you what they do for their customers whilst I position that on the screen. Niklas, if you'd like to join in now.
Thank you, Alfonso. Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you clearly. Thank you very much for joining me. I've put your slide on the screen, so go ahead
and thank you. DeLaval is a fairly old company. We were founded by a Swedish inventor called Gustav DeLaval 134 years ago. We are part of a bigger group, DeLaval Group, where most persons have heard about our sister company called Tetra Pak. So we, together with Tetra Pak and Dell, form the DeLaval Group. We have a headquarters here in Stockholm, Sweden. Roughly 4,400 employees across the world, around 70 legal entities, 100 operational entities. We are working with monthly operational reporting, quarterly legal reporting, and when we started, we had a picture of scattered systems around the financial reporting process. Many of them own developed Excel or Microsoft Access based systems. We have a business which is both capital goods and aftermarket, and we have both direct sales and indirect sales across the world in 100+ markets. We are focusing on milking equipment, so we provide farmers around the world with our milking solutions, and we meet with over 10,000 milk producers on their farms every year. So that's a little bit about the background of DeLaval as a company and what type of challenges that we have, and we'll go more into detail on the financial reporting part and where we started our journey and where we are right now.
Okay, thank you very much, Niklas. That's a great introduction to your organization. Thank you for setting the scene and introducing your company to the audience. I'd like now to move on to the interview part of our webcast and ask you some questions to learn a little bit more about your financial reporting process, what challenges you specifically wanted to solve and how you overcame them. So let me do that first of all by asking you to consider this question. Can you set out the landscape for planning and reporting at DeLaval and take me back round about 3 to 4 years ago?
Sure, I'll do that. As I already talked about in the introduction, we are coming from an environment where a lot of the tools and processes have been developed internally. So we were working a lot with different Excel applications for collecting data, extracting data from other systems into Excel, doing a lot of our reporting in Excel and in PowerPoint. We also had different reporting systems for different reporting needs. So different reporting system for planning reporting, operation reporting, and legal reporting. So that's we had also an rather outdated consolidation system, which was not being developed for a number of years. So we had a pretty good sort of improvement potential from where we started.
Okay, that's great. That's good background. Thank you very much. So let me move on to my next question in this series. So what were the objectives then set by the CFO for the operations and legal reporting back in 2014?
Yeah, back in 2014, then we were focusing a lot on on the reporting into the headquarter. We said we wanted to have one reporting system for all group reporting needs, meaning that we wanted to have a system that could cover both legal consolidation, operational reporting, but also the planning part. We wanted the system maintenance to be kept within finance. And we also wanted to have a reasonable implementation time because we had a lot of time to wait for a new solution. We also wanted to align our reporting processes at the same time. So the system would be the enabler to also review the reporting processes. So we're not only working with the systems, but also the reporting processes. And we wanted to reduce the reporting lead times.
Okay, thank you very much, Niklas. So then that leads me on to in 2015, you started the transformation program. Can you explain what your plans were here?
Yes, I mean what we really wanted to achieve was to spend less time on reporting. So felt that the old environment, and we felt that we did not have the transparency that we needed. We were pretty far and good in creating good sort of aggregated reports, fixed reports where you could which you could use. But then to have that transparency on when you had a question on that aggregated level, to get down to an answer more detailed questions, that is something where we felt that we were lacking, and we still felt that we spent a lot of time producing reports rather than making analysis.
That's a familiar situation we hear on a regular basis. So, financial reporting on top of SAP BPC. Obviously, you've stated it's important to DeLaval. So what benefits were you looking to try to reproduce?
So what we wanted to do was to make sure that we are efficient in the processes, meaning that we would like to reduce the time we spend on preparing different PowerPoint reports, sending them out to different parts of the organization. At the same time, we also did or are still doing a transformation in the finance organization as such, putting more pressure on the finance people to be more value added in their work than just to spend time on preparing reports. We also wanted to align what type of reports were used in different review meetings, because before we started this, it was quite common that people came with their own templates. They sometimes even came with their own numbers because they felt that they needed to adjust for one reason or another. So I mean, what we basically wanted to do was to increase the efficiency, but also making sure that we were using the same set of numbers and the same set of reports looking in the same way. And that's where we felt that we needed to have something on top of BPC.
Okay. So how did you then set about or generate your list of requirements? And then how did you start searching for suitable vendors to meet your requirements?
So what we did was that we started from the central point of view. So it was a central group controlling team putting down the requirement list. Then what we did was to extend to the senior finance teams around the world. We shared that requirement list to make sure that we did not miss anything. And then together with them, we prioritized these requirements based on the expected benefit that we saw that we could have from where we started. That was validated by the finance management team. And then when we came to the vendors part, what we did was we were only looking at solutions for SAP BPC, the Microsoft version, and so that narrowed it down quite a bit on the different solutions that we had. So we were looking at, of course, SAP solutions and some other solutions as well. So that's how we came to a sort of a short list of possible providers.
Okay. So what was your evaluation criteria once you'd selected those few vendors?
What we were looking at as a priority was a storyboard dashboard functionality, because that's what we felt were missing in the current system that we had. That a storyboard built for a specific purpose, for a review meeting or for a monthly report. So I mean, that was one of them. The connectivity BPC was also one of the prioritized selection criteria. And keeping control within finance so that we did not need to have IT manage it for us. And then the last point was the implementation time. We looked at that was also important when that we did not want a long implementation project.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Niklas. Can you outline why you selected CXO-Cockpit and what benefits you felt that they could deliver?
Sure. I mean, it's it's back to those prioritized requirements that we had. The main reasons that we selected CXO was the connectivity to BPC. There was no need to move any data. We could keep the data in our BPC solution, and it was a simple implementation time and process. I mean, that's what made us go for CXO.
Okay. How long did the actual implementation take related to what CXO had explained to you originally?
So we did the implementation in 2 steps. We started with the proof of concept, which was basically then the technical implementation, and that was very quick. I would say in half a day the technical setup was there, and then we could start to, based on our own data, build reports. And I mean, the technical implementation was fast thanks to the connectivity to BPC, that we could reuse structures and dimensions that we already had set up, and we did not need to move any data.
So you met your original expectations stated by the vendor?
Absolutely, because we were a bit surprised about your sales pitch of how quick you could do it, but I must say that we were impressed on that. We did not believe it before, but then in the proof of concept we really understood that this was an easy implementation from a technical point of view.
Okay. So what issues did you run into at any stage of the implementation, or even since launch, And how did you or CXO-Cockpit resolve those issues?
We did not really get into any big issues. The biggest one I can think of is that there is no standard on-the-fly currency conversion, which we thought we could use for business warehouse connection. But so what we did there was to rethink the process on how to how to get that data into CXO. And other than that, it was more related to our internal processes on the requirements being sort of, okay, can you reproduce this PowerPoint presentation of this PowerPoint pack into this new tool, not really taking advantage of the functionality that the new tool actually had. Mm-hmm. So I mean, those were the sort of the main obstacles, I would say.
Okay. So what future plans do you have related to improving your financial reporting process?
The current plans are to extend the scope, also using it for other processes. Sorry. And to use it for pricing and other non-financial data in the same reporting tool.
Sorry, did you say non-financial data?
Exactly, non-financial data.
Do you maybe have an example of a non-financial data?
Market share data, it could be other purchase price variances, etc. That type of thing.
Okay, and you want to join those into an existing dashboard or reporting view? Okay.
And also some more on R&D programs and projects, more like timelines, etc. That type of thing.
Uh-huh. Okay, a couple more questions left. Did you receive any unexpected benefits since using CXO-Cockpit?
Not really any unexpected benefits, but I would say that maybe that the positive benefits were even stronger than when we thought, but no unexpected ones that we did not really see on beforehand, but they were quicker and maybe stronger than we had hoped for.
Okay. Okay, so finally, what advice would you share with the audience who might be considering improving their financial reporting system or process?
I would say that starting with data quality and data alignment, standardization is a key. I mean, do not start with building fancy reports on data that no one is really agreeing to that it's what we should look at. Also, to make sure that measurements and KPIs are defined and agreed. And then also to not just reproduce what you already have. It's a good time to also change processes and improve processes. And then also the change management aspect in terms of that when you do this and you increase transparency, it puts more pressure on managers actually really understanding their business. Because it's possible with increased transparency, you're more vulnerable as a manager when you present, because it's you get the numbers answers in 2 or 3 clicks in the system.
Yeah, so devolving responsibility to lower levels within the business sounds like a good step forward, but something new that managers need to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Now, if I recall, you were prepared to share with us a quick view of some of your reporting. Are you able to do that technically?
Yes, if you just, should I share my screen or?
No, what I'll do is just to ask Thomas to jump in and pass control over to you, so we'll then get your view of the screen. I think he's just doing that now. You should see a small pop-up box saying share screen, and then in a moment we should see, yes, we can see your screen. Okay, so over to you again, Niklas.
Perfect. I will just show two brief examples, and these are not real data, but it's two reports that we are using quite a lot in the group. So I mean, this is how we split our sales data into different product categories. So this is one way for us to show that it is fairly easy for one market to show a long-term development. This is a 12-month rolling development the last 5 years, and then per market you can see how it's progressing during the year. So growth during the year on both orders and net invoicing, and then this is the long-term development over the 5-year period. And then it's fairly easy to, if you want to look in a specific product portfolio, you just click on that portfolio and then you get that long-term view of the sales development. And another example is what we built what we have market areas which we are following. So then we have a market area benchmark report for a number of KPIs that we have defined. We can look at sales growth, for example, and then you click on one market area and you get the split per country in that in that market area. And this is something that has helped us to improve performance as well, that you fairly easy can compare yourself against other market areas within the group. So we have a innovation sales, margin development, and some on resource cost, etc. So it's the same for all of these, where you just click to see how you do perform against the other parts of the group.
Did you have that
and
view
you can also drill down in it. No, we did not have this view previously, and we did not share it as we can do now. And this is very powerful when it comes to managing and challenging the different market areas around the report, which we have last quarter.
I think we're just losing.
So these are just two examples of sorry, these are just two examples of the reports that we have created. We have a bunch more.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much, Niklas. I think what I'd like to do now is if Thomas can maybe pass control back to myself, and we'd move to some questions that have come in from the audience. So Thomas?
Hi, yes. Just a quick reminder, everybody's able to submit any questions. If you have any questions, please do so and I'll ask them. So I'll start with the first question, if that's okay, Alfonso.
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas. We've got maybe about 2 minutes before we get to the 30-minute mark, so let's just try and pick out some of the key ones.
All right. On average, how long would a reporting cycle take before CXO, and how long does it take now?
For us, we basically said we took 5 days to prepare all the reporting packages. Now the reporting packages without comments are done basically day 1. If it was day 5 before, now it's done day 1. So I mean, we have improved that part significantly, and we also feel that the quality of comments, etc., has improved. So on the reporting time, it's basically 1 day instead of 5 days spent on preparing reporting packages.
Okay.
All right. Next question is, how flexible is CXO reporting pack and dashboards to any future financial requirement from internal or external changes?
I would say, from my point of view, it's very flexible, because it's basically reproducing what we have in BPC. So all those requirements, or most of those requirements, we would do in BPC first, and then once we've done it there, we can do it in CXO. Then when it comes to what we do in CXO is then more like the layout, the analysis part of those requirements. So I would say from that point of view, it's when it comes to analysis design that you do in CXO, but then when it comes to what type of data and that part, we have that in BPC, so that is where we do those changes due to requirements.
All right. Another question is, you mentioned using multiple data sources. How long did it take to represent that data in your standard reports?
What has taken time for us is not really to get the data in there. It is how do we want to present the data. So I mean, to get the data in, or to get the data into a report, that normally doesn't take more than half a day if it's something completely new. So I mean, what takes time is to rethink first, okay, what dimensions do we need, or how do we want to use this data, and what do we want to compare it with, and so that's where we spend time. And then obviously, of course, also on creating the report itself to make sure that we get the benefit we expect.
All right, fantastic. Another question is, how do you work with text comments?
Text comments, we basically have it in all reports. The possibility to put more sort of analysis text into it. In addition to that, we have a monthly comment package in CXO where we ask our different business managers to comment on their business. So then normally what we do is that we combine that with a with a table of the KPIs, so that we are also instructing them to in the comments they should not just repeat margin levels or growth numbers. We want them to comment on what's behind the numbers really. So, and that's there where we see an improvement from before.
All right. A question that I'm not too sure if it's for Niklas or
we had a separate Word document where a lot of the comments were just
sorry, we seem to have some technical issues. Shall I ask the next question then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does CXO have an offline reporting capability?
So I'll take that question, Niklas. So essentially, CXO is sitting directly on top of the live data from SAP BPC in Niklas's example in DeLaval. So you wouldn't be able to take that offline and view the information. So in that particular case, however, CXO does have the ability to drop reports into additional mediums like PowerPoint, PDF, Excel, and allow those to be circulated too.
All right. I guess the last question would be, is it possible to call a CXO report from a different web application, including parameters like date, business unit, and so forth?
I'm not sure what you mean by in a different web application. But the way that users view CXO-Cockpit is it's an on-premise solution, but it requires a browser to access CXO-Cockpit, the front end where the user would access it, and we support all the leading web browsers, Chrome, Internet Explorer, etc. A full list is actually on our website of the ones that we support. So a user is just using a web browser to view CXO-Cockpit, and in fact the short demo of the two reports by Niklas a couple of seconds ago we were done through his web browser. I hope that answers the question, as I wasn't quite clear. Okay, I think we're going to have to sort of draw the timing to a close now, Thomas. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to thank very much Niklas for taking the time to support us at CXO-Cockpit in providing answers to our questions. We're pleased to be in partnership and working with DeLaval. We hope to continue our success and grow CXO-Cockpit with DeLaval. And thank you to the audience for listening today and your participation. If there are any further questions, we will try to answer those by email afterwards. So I'm going to close the webinar. Our contact details are live on the screen now. Thank you very much, everybody, and goodbye.
Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you. Bye.